Oh yeah, okay. I guess I'm hosting. I forgot. It's like the thing I should be doing. Now let's talk about... We're going to go through every character. We're going to talk about some of the skills, the paths, and random thoughts and this and that. And something I've been trying to do, not necessarily successfully, but I've been trying to like think of passives for every character to have just because they're cool, and only Hellion has a good one. So it'd be interesting if everyone had one. With that said, I know you're joking about this Ranger about Noxious Blast since we're talking about it first, but what do you think about Noxious Blast?
So, Noxious Blast, in my opinion, has the issue that the dot damage on it is way too good for what you get out of it. In fact, the best comparison for Noxious Blast is Bleed Out on Hellion. Bleed Out on Hellion hits from rank 1 into rank 1 with the same bleed as Noxious Blast. Meanwhile, Noxious Blast hits from all the way from rank 4, which rank 4 is the best position PD can be in because it's a spot that not a lot of attacks can reach. On the other hand, Bleed Out, every time you hit it, you gain a Winded token. So you're reducing your damage that you're hitting with Hellion, and you're reducing your speed by 3 every single time you're hitting it. Noxious Blast doesn't do that. All it is just you hit it, and if it sticks, it's a lot of damage. In fact, I've actually calculated this, and if you over the course of 3 turns, if you hit Noxious Blast compared to Bleed Out, the only thing you're losing out on Bleed Out compared to Noxious Blast does only, I think it was 2 less damage on the minimum roll, and 7 or something like that less damage on the maximum roll. So Noxious Blast, in a way, is already way more consistent as a damaging move compared to Bleed Out. So that's what I think about it.
A fair point, and I think like the concise version that I'll drop on that is really just it does too much damage, right? So in terms of that, I mean, even the crit rate's okay. Like Alchemist kind of pushes it to new heights with the crit chance and the res piercing and stuff. So I guess it goes without saying, like, probably lower the damage, like the not on hit, but the dot damage. And then I guess I kind of want a different combo effect. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, the resistance piercing when target combo is completely irrelevant, considering that every single path in this game has more resistance piercing than the actual combo effect. That's how strong of a power creep the paths are in this game.
100%. Like, just as a preview, all of the resistance piercing stuff, like combos and paths and stuff like that, I will be advocating to get rid of it, and we're gonna have to like hammer out some of the details on that, but that's just a preview there. But okay, let me see. I'm trying to juggle like 3 windows at once and the game.
All good. This is not a professional live stream.
I think I'm about there. Hold up.
Snake is asking, what combo application would Noxious have? That's honestly a good point. What I think would be good is if on combo it increased the duration or the actual dot damage that you're hitting. But then obviously you have the issue of still it doing too much damage. If I would honestly reduce it, I would reduce the dot damage of Noxious and then make the combo effect do more dot damage. Something similar to Open Vein. Mainly because Open Vein is honestly just such a bad move that it kind of needs the combo effect to actually do something.
Yeah, and okay, so I'm all caught up now. So for Noxious specifically, I was thinking I kind of want to move away from like straight damage and stuff, and so the idea I'd initially thought for Noxious was the combo effect would be like -2 speed or something, and then if you really want to make stuff more consistent when you master a lot of these dot skills, give it like 10% dot chance. And like that's it. It doesn't need 33%, it doesn't need 30, it doesn't need like 25. You know, just something small, but still relevant.
I would be cool with that. Mainly because if you recall back when this game was already in like day one, we were already saying that, you know, on upgrade or on mastery rather, it should be piercing at least like 10%. Nothing, it doesn't have to be, you know, 15, 20, 33, just 10. A flat 10%. Because at that point, you're already, you know, negating the RNG of, for example, a stupid, I don't know, a foot soldier with his 10 move speed or to 10 move res resisting your Daemon's Pull, for example, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Being asked here, do you think comparing skill by skill is fair in DD? I think it's way more important, or way more than that. At least we should be reviewing the whole kits. We're going through the kits, but I think, you know, it's really hard to, like, I don't know if that comment's implying I should nerf like an entire kit or something, but really it's something you have to, in my opinion, have to go through like skill by skill to whittle it down. Like there's no reason that Noxious Blast should be stronger than Bleed Out, you know, considering the limitations of Bleed Out, like Ranger said. And, you know, and Resistance Piercing and all that is just really, really, really good. And yeah, things change with Paz. We're trying to make, or at least I'm trying to make Wanderer decent enough on all characters that Paz don't feel like an upgrade, but that has admittedly been very hard to deal with. And I'm just realizing now we spent like 5 minutes on Noxious Blast, so we're gonna be here for a bit at this rate.
Nah, it's fine. We can. Some of these skills are in a worse spot than others.
Yeah, that's fair. I was being told that -2 speed is not really worth a combo, but honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't want it to be damage. You know, I want it to be a control thing. Like, maybe on combo applies weaken or something. Important to know the limits that are set by abilities. Just afraid go beyond that. Yeah, that's fine. No, I appreciate the thing. Add blind on combo. For the dots specifically, I was thinking maybe combo blight would blind. Like that is a good idea. And then like bleed would weaken or vulnerable. And then no. It'd be like fire blinds. Blight is maybe weaken, and then bleeding is vulnerable. Something like that. But alright, moving on to blinding gas. And the immediate thing that I thought of is just remove the cooldown on mastery.
Honestly, yeah, like this skill just on its own is like already such a niche usage, because first of all, it like the 25% and 30% chance of combo applying is so unreliable that even if it does happen, the ranks that you're comboing are rank 3 and 4, which a lot of characters that utilize combo, especially if they're melee based, cannot reach that rank. On the other hand, like the double days is also pretty bad, because you can't even argue that it's good for double days into stun setups, because the ranks that you are hitting with blinding gas are 3 and 4. There's 3 characters in this game that can apply days without the need of a combo token, and that is PD with blinding gas, Man-at-Arms with Rampart, and also Leper with Bash. Rampart and Bash cannot hit rank 3 and 4. So you can't even argue that it's good for that. And the blind, I see no reason why this on upgrade shouldn't just give 2 blind base, because blind is such a... Like, blind on its own is kind of unreliable unless you have dodge on your character as well, because then it's a 25% compared to a 50. You're rolling a coin toss, and even then, they can resist the blind, and then you just have nothing. If they resist everything that blinding gas does, you have effectively wasted your entire turn doing nothing. And even the days cannot be argued that it's good for controlling the enemy, especially when you have enemies that have free actions such as Drummer, because Drummer just completely ignores the days. You can't use that as a control tool. So, and in certain cases, if the enemy in the back rank is fast due to like Ordainment and Hastened, you could end up in a situation where you daze the enemy, and they get 4 turns back to back just because they're so fast. So this can effectively even kill you in certain situations.
I mean, that is a good point. I feel like it might be a bit rare for that specific situation, but I think you bring up a super good point with the combo effect. You know, someone in stream was saying maybe make it 50%. I mean, that might be a bit too good, but the issue with it is, or at least in my eyes with the combo, is that rank 4 is like usually the quickest rank to disappear. Either you kill it directly, or you kill something up front and then the corpse decays and 4 goes into 3, you know? So blinding gas is only really getting strong value out of a couple, like the first couple turns, unless you're fighting a boss. But even then, you know, bosses have multiple turns and a lot of other stuff going on. So yeah, I don't know. Like, do you think that there needs to be any other change besides, if you agree with the no cooldown, like on mastery? Is there anything else that needs to change with it?
I mean, like I assume you mean just removing the cooldown and keeping the double days, right?
Yeah, keeping everything as is, like the combo, the percentage, the one blind, the days.
Then you could end up in a situation where people would be like, you know, oh my god, that would be way too strong because then you could encore PD and get a double stun on the backline. To which I say, I honestly don't care, because because I see no reason why in a roguelite you have to accept that some moves or some combination of characters will inherently be very strong. So I see no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that in this game.
True. And I think a part of that too is with encoring Plague Doctor and stuff. You know, like let's say Virtuoso speed bonus just disappears and stuff like that. Then it's one of those things where you have to get the turns in the right order. You have to get them as such that it makes value against the enemies, and then you're sinking a very, very, very important move in Encore into a chance of stunning. And the other thing I would say too with stuns is that a lot of enemies have decent stun resist base, and then impervious exists. So in terms of like the balance, they've really focused on trying to make stuns not only as weak as possible for the player, but also very inefficient. And in my eyes, I feel like they a bit overdid it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Mainly because like the double days into a stun is effectively a meme. Like I'm just gonna say it outright. It is just a complete meme.
Yeah, the best way to get the double days stun, no joke, is like Dead Ringer on a daze character. Then just hope for the 15% and also hitting the stun chance and all that. So
yeah.
Punicorn just resubscribed
so Ren, thanks for the
for
sub.
19 months.
Incision.
19 years.
The Incision decision. What do you think?
So Incision is surprisingly the strongest bleed ability in the entire game if you're talking single target, which I didn't even know. And the reason I didn't know is because I never pressed this button. I never ran anything other than Alchemist. And the reason being that I don't understand why somehow they managed to give PD the strongest blight move and then also the best single target bleed move.
Support healer, by the way.
Yeah, it's actually amazing how that managed to slip through somehow.
Yeah,
obviously you have the standard resist previously. Like, let me tell you, unmastered Incision does 12 to 15 damage if you count the raw plus the bleed, with a 10% crit chance. 10% is higher than Jester has on Slice Off, unmastered.
Yeah, that's weird too, because I don't know how much you know DD1, but Slice Off in DD1, even though it's similar to Harvest, it had a massive crit rate. So like that kind of made it appealing because DD1 was more crit focused. But then we get these situations where, you know, we have like take aim on one character or Incision here, and then we have like Slice Off on someone else. You know, it's like how, even if you're trying to think of it in terms of kits, like how some of these make it through at times is a bit questionable, but also I kind of understand too, because, you know, you have like 10, 11, 12 characters, whatever it is. Everyone has 11 skills, 3 paths besides Wanderer. So I can understand that it gets hard to keep the numbers consistent, but Incision really is in a league of its own.
Yeah, it's very strange. Also, I see Cactus asking, isn't PD's damage output and utility balanced out by poor survivability? No. The reason being that PD is usually stuck into rank 4. Unless, if you're running Surgeon, sure, you put her into rank 3, but usually she's in rank 4. And there are any enemy that can actually hit rank 4 usually hits for very low damage, or it's a kind of debuff. For example, Flaming Lasso in from the Immolatist in the Sprawl doesn't do too much on-hit damage, nor does it burn you that hard, but it blinds you. That's the debuff that it has.
Yeah.
And rank 4 is, even for the player, it's like this game is extremely starved on hitting rank 4 damage, which, you know, unless you bring Ravage, Hellion, Plague Grenade, again, I guess you could also bring Occultist with Roof Spaghetti, something like that, Acid Rain. If you don't bring that, you're gonna struggle with a lot of the enemies because you cannot hit that specific rank, and usually that rank is reserved for like Drummer or even the Bishops in the Stangle. Very important enemies that you kind of want to kill.
Definitely. And it's a good point too. And there are other mitigating factors. Like I do agree that Plague Doctor in a perfect world, perfect game or whatever, what's up, BB, or she's balanced around the poor survivability. Like she can't generate dodge, block, or whatever on her own. The best she can do is blind stuff and daze it and like weaken. But like Ranger was saying, we don't, like the enemies don't have great ways to hit rank 4. Like the whole game is very frontline centered at the moment. And then the other thing I would say too is that when we get to the tank characters, we're going to talk about how problematic taunt is. So between the ability to spam taunt on like half the cast, items that give taunt, trinkets that give taunt, and stuff like that, keeping Plague Doctor safe is very easy. And even though Alchemist has minus HP chance, or like not chance, minus HP, like max HP, it doesn't matter. It ultimately doesn't matter. The only time it really mattered was like if you're playing on old Stygian, because she'd have like 16 HP. But, you know, a lot of people were doing that, and it's also gone now. All right, there's a rant.
I just realized that we're at 23 minutes and we're not even through the first character.
It's fine. We'll make this multiple streams.
Oh,
it
yeah,
might be multiple videos.
Nasty
We'll see.
content.
Yeah. But I mean, some of these don't, like you were saying, don't require too much to talk about. Like Battlefield Medicine. The only thing I have for it is like lower the healing amount, just because it's so efficient as a heal. Like removing a bunch of damage over time effects is already very proactive healing. Like you can straight up just heal essentially like 40 damage with this move. So does it need to heal 25% on top? I was thinking like 10% base and then 20% mastered.
Yeah, honestly, like reducing simply because the healing threshold is so low, the heal that you get out of it is it's unironically equivalent to just a flash hitting more. It is actually just that. Technically just a tiny bit less because because it heals 20 and then more upgraded heals you what, like 30? I think. Or is it, I think it is 30, right? 30% if you have all 3 tokens.
Or Vestal?
Flagellant with hitting more.
At base, it's I think 30 for 3, and then upgrade, I think it's 45 for 3.
Yeah. So you're essentially healing very close to Flagellant healing himself with more on any character that you so choose, the moment that they have dot on them and they're below 50% HP, which is very easy to do, simply because you like one crit gets you below 50% usually.
Yeah, true. But do you have any other like balance suggestions for this, or like I think it's okay with the 3 uses and stuff.
Yeah, I think reducing the healing is honestly the best choice, because if you reduce the healing threshold, you end up with a Vestal situation, and that just feels bad to play. Like it's just really, like hitting Grace feels bad to play. Like hitting Grace is just terrible. And I don't want every character to have that. So I think keeping the threshold below 50% is fine, but reduce the healing.
True. All right, couple questions, or couple comments, I should say. What if the move only healed 1 dot? I think it healing 3 is fine, just to give it, the utility. But then the other thing I saw here was they don't need a dot for the skill to work, and that is true. That is a great point, actually, because you have Potterize, for example, that requires bleeding to activate. And so this move can just be used as regular healing, and 3 charges honestly is enough to get you through a lot of encounters. Like regular fights, 3 is plenty. Boss fights, 3 is usually enough, unless you're screwing up or something like that. So I definitely wouldn't mind if it required the dot to activate as well.
Yeah.
Ounce of prevention. I actually think this is perfect. I would not touch this.
See, I had the my idea for this, like at one point, was that maybe up the resistances up a little bit on base and mastered, and make it a you can only hit it once per battle. But then you could end up with certain situations where I guess it could be a tiny bit too strong. But obviously, then I don't want this to end up being a situation where it was like early access ounce of prevention, where it heals stress, and that was the best stress healing move in the game because it had no threshold, nothing.
Yep.
On the other hand, I believe when I was talking with Elox about this, I think he mentioned something like that it could be like a stacking buff, that you hit it per each battle, and that it would keep for you for the region, like stacking the resistances on it. But
that'd be interesting, but it feels a bit clunky.
Yeah, it might be like I have a feeling that like it could technically just stall the fight, and then just increase the resistances to like 200%, and you're completely invincible.
Yeah. Plus, it would make some things like the hopeful relationship that gives a bunch of resist. It would kind of make that irrelevant, I think, if PD's there.
Yeah. So either keep it as is, honestly, and just don't touch it, or make it a once per battle thing, and it sticks for you for the whole battle.
Yeah, I mean, a once per battle thing would be interesting. I don't know if we have any other skills that do that. Like, we have uses, but my one fear about it being once a battle is that it would be just too efficient. It's like PD already has very efficient turns, so it's like her having to circle back and not heal or not blight something or debuff or whatever in order to hit this, I think is pretty fair.
Also, Elox has corrected me that it was. He actually mentioned that it was also once per battle, but it remained for the fight, which was basically my idea as well. So okay. I guess I'm just stupid then. I seem to recall what he mentioned before, but I guess I just didn't.
Yeah. Being asked, what if Battlefield Medicine gets nerfed, make ounce give resist and heal a bit per dot cleanse? 3 heals be too much? It would be. Like, we already have travel healing. I would like it if like in battle healing was nerfed, because if in battle healing is worse, then the player has to engage with the game more by understanding turn orders, understanding what the enemies can do, and like applying debuffs instead. Like that's just a me thing. Like I think that would be more engaging than what we have now, but yeah. People saying 15% sounds too weak. If you're thinking about it like that, like if you hit ounce to block 1 resist, it doesn't feel great. But if you hit ounce in a fight where multiple things can happen, like what is it? Like creature dens, where you can get bleed, blight, and disease, or against Cardinal, there's all 3 dots. Like this does have the potential to pick up a lot of value. Or in certain boss fights like Librarian, where it just burn every single turn, then this actually gets really strong. But if you're fighting 1 or 2 enemies that don't do any damage over time or disease or whatever, then yeah, it doesn't feel like enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. It's Plague Grenade.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about Plague Grenade. So, a Plague Grenade. Biggest issue with this. This move is actually the PD equivalent of just hitting Acid Rain, because I actually did the math on it, and it is the exact same damage range. Plague Grenade and Acid Rain have the same exact damage range on the 2 targets that it can stick to. And the fact is that if it does stick on both targets, then this is just... This move becomes completely busted. It becomes even stronger if you manage to go after the enemy vent, and then next turn or next round you go before the enemy. So you stack it twice on the enemy, and they take both dot ticks at the same time. Because then essentially you're... If the dot sticks, then Plague Grenade does anywhere from 20 to 22 damage, depending on the damage rolls that you did, unmastered on both targets. And if you hit it twice, then it just becomes 40 to 44 damage on 2 targets. And that is
insane.
over the course of 3 rounds, right? That's just, like, that is just way too much.
It is, and
The best comparison to Plague Grenade is if you look at Poison Dart, because Poison Dart is meh, unupgraded, and it's okay upgraded. Meanwhile, you can hit this every turn, and you're just cleaving shit to death.
Definitely accelerates the damage issue, and I think for Plague Grenade, it's one of the best encore candidates, because if you're able to, it doesn't matter if you're before or after the enemy, just hitting them twice with this at any point, like, will destroy most backlines in 3 turns by itself. Like, you hit this twice, 3 and 4 are gone. They're just deleted. You don't even have to worry about them in a lot of cases. So it's too efficient, too strong, and I personally think that the dot damage or whatever should just go lower. And maybe 0 crit. Like, does this move need to crit?
Either make it less damage, or just keep the damage as is, but make it only hit 1 rank. I think that would be fine.
That's a bit weird to me. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong, but for me, the class identity, Plague Grenade has been hitting 2 targets for like 8 years, so it'd feel weird if it wasn't.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah. Also, yeah. Hollow is saying, it's necessary for this to be OP because this opens so much comp diversity, and that's a huge W in my opinion. I disagree. How does Plague Grenade open comp diversity if you're just hitting Plague Grenade every turn? Like, am I not understanding that correctly? Like, because if you bring, like, even Wanderer Plague Grenade is extremely good. Then you smack on Alchemist on top of it, and it just becomes it's just a nuke. You hit that. It's like a fire and forget type of missile, honestly. You hit this twice, and then you can just focus on anybody else because you know that 3 and 4 are dead.
Yeah, and people are saying that Alchemist is the issue. I mean, we'll get to Alchemist, but I really do agree with Ranger that, like, this move on its face, just baseline, is way too strong. And if we're doing other things like the idea that mastered skills get 10% dot pen, then it still gets that efficiency. But otherwise, it just does too much damage, like being able to hit it twice and do like 20 damage or whatever, that kills most enemies. Just outright, unless they're sturdy or already have like high base HP or like a size 2, it takes them out. And that's just very, very good. But I'm gonna move on to
says,
wait, you got one more?
Or maybe put it to Acid Rain levels. Well, no, Acid Rain and Plague Grenade are the same damage. They are. Like, you think I'm joking, but no, it is the same damage.
What, like overall because of the on hit? Because the dots are down 1.
The dots are down 1, but if you count it with the like the on hit damage, then it's the same damage.
Okay. Makes sense.
Or at least if you because you have 6 damage, you have 6 dot over 3 turns times 2, you get 12, and then 4, so you're hitting 20 minimum damage. Plague Grenade is Also 12 times 2, 24, and stuff like that.
Okay.
If you I'm maybe I did the math wrong, but I'm pretty sure that when I was counting this on hit plus the dot, it came out at 20 to 22 on Plague Grenade and 20 to 22 on Acid Rain as well.
Makes sense. But like I said, moving on.
Of course, I wouldn't mind seeing less dot, but
Oh, yeah, you know what? I keep wanting to move on, but in terms of like, I guess Plague Grenade, you know, what's the nerf then? Because we talked about all the issues. What's the nerf before we jump ship?
yeah, I'm seeing like cooldown in the chat a lot. Honestly, like the thing is, I guess that could help. Like this is like the one rare case where a cooldown might actually be the fix to the issue, unlike what they were trying to do with Take Aim.
True,
But
actually.
I don't know. Like either I would honestly give it a cooldown and maybe decrease the dot by 1, make it like 2 and 3.
Okay, yeah, I'd be good with that. People asking where can we buffer? We already talked about buffing blinding gas, and we're gonna talk about emboldening vapors, which, at least in my notes, is getting a buff, and it's a small one. I think that just at base it shouldn't have a cooldown. Like, just,
Honestly, I agree.
I mean, it's
this
already
move-
a decent damage trade-off because you're not doing 20-point blights. You're just giving someone, unless you're stacking a bunch of tokens and stuff, which is, again, you engaging with the game and planning ahead, which is totally okay. On average, if you just throw this on some random person, it's like an extra 3 to 5 damage, and I think that's fine.
One thing that I don't really understand about this move is that at base, it is literally command.
Yes.
Except technically worse command, because it doesn't remove blind. I wouldn't mind seeing this move like at base be like that on base it removes weaken and then gives you strength. And on upgrade, you could keep the speed token, but make it remove weaken and vuln, and then give you those 2 tokens.
You mean days or?
Oh no, like make it so like on base, if you have let's say you have 2 weaken tokens on you. So if you hit Emboldening Vapors on the target, it first removes the weaken and then gives you 1 strength at base. And then on upgrade, it gives you it removes weaken and vuln from you, and then gives you strength and speed. I think that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that, but why not have it remove days at that point? Because we don't have many days or stun cures right now.
That is true. Although I guess you could argue that the speed token is removing days because it cancels it out, but
No, I know, but if we're going so far as to remove weaken before applying strength, then
yeah,
why not take
actually,
off days?
yeah. Honestly, that might actually be pretty good. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
All right, see, that one didn't take too long. Then we have Disorienting Blast, which has some issues. My one fix that I would just give it, honestly, because I know a lot of people say, oh, have it remove corpses and all that. I just want the weaken to be 100% chance. That's all I want.
Yeah, I don't understand why that's not 100%. If I don't know if I get put into DD Corp jail for saying this, but I would honestly just make this move stun on combo at base.
Yeah.
Like I don't see a reason why it shouldn't be doing that. Because here's the issue with Disso Blast. Again, it's the same issue that Blinding Gas has. If you Disso Blast a rank 2 character, and they get set into rank 4, dazed, how do you stun them at that point? You just don't, right? you took a character that was sitting comfortably in rank 2, ready to get double daze into stun, sends his ass into rank 4, and now you can't reach him. So I see no reason why you just shouldn't stun on combo base.
Yeah, I could see that. The one thing too that I feel like with this move is even if you do send someone from 2 to 4 or 4 to 1, which is in like DD1 that was the dream. Like you hit a courtier in 4 and it flies up to 1, or like a shaman. But I think in those situations it essentially kind of acts like a soft stun, because if the enemy gets thrown to a position where they can't really do anything except like some kind of movement skill, then, you know, they hit you for like 3 damage, move forward, move back, or whatever. And I think that's okay in some instances. But
Like, imagine hitting a Widow with Disoblast who's sitting in rank 3. You move her into rank 1. She hits you with Don't Look and moves back 2. And blinds you. Very, very interactive, isn't it?
As much as I dislike Widow, I mean, I don't... That one I don't mind too much. Anything that's not Desperate Grab, I'm fine.
I agree. I think Widow's fine. The only thing that's pissing me off is just Desperate Grab. That's the biggest issue, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. IS, Indiscriminate Science. Probably the most broken skill in this character. TBH, it's so powerful.
Yeah. It has a 1 turn cooldown with no use limit, so you can just spam this the entire fight. You run out of battlefield mend, Edison, don't worry, you can casually heal for like 200 HP if you have a Man-at-Arms, it's totally fine. They tried to nerf this on 1.0 by making from 10% heal per negative token to 5%. What they should have actually done is limit the number of tokens you can destroy, rather than the percentage.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't it just be can destroy a maximum of 2 and a maximum of 2 negative tokens? Why couldn't why couldn't it do that instead? That would have been a much better fix, because at that point the maximum you can heal is 40, and you can't choose which tokens get destroyed.
Yeah. For me personally, you know, I do agree with that. Like, the nerf to the negative healing, or the negative token healing, honestly just isn't anything. Because the issue with this move is that the characters that usually need healing the most, like Hellion, Man-at-Arms, Leper, and even, you know, like Highwayman to an extent if he's in rank 2. The issue is so many characters can just generate a full stack of like 3 tokens at a time. I'm being a bit hyperbolic. They can generate so many tokens at a time on themselves that are positive that, you know, if you get the turns in the order that you need them and all that, then you can effectively heal someone for like 60% HP with like no effort. And then it can crit.
Like, it requires, like, this move is very brainless in its application. Yeah. Especially with Man-at-Arms, you know, Dismas, Take Aim. Technically, even Flash to an extent, if you hit more and then just cleanse the taunt token off him, that also works. Anybody that can generate, you know, those kinds of tokens is just completely fine.
Yeah, so for this, I was thinking something like you were saying, you know, adjust the healing so maybe it has a cap, or like the token removal, there's a cap and stuff. Totally on board with that. And the other thing that I would, you know, like if all the healing and stuff gets nerfed, what I actually want it to do more than anything is if they're like not under the threshold, have it remove tokens. Like, I wouldn't mind being able to hit this early to remove like 2 blind on someone, you know, because I feel like token cleanse is very hard to come by right now.
It is. Like, it's usually just combat items and stuff.
Yeah. Noob characters and abilities need to exist, and this is it. I wouldn't even say it's a noob thing, honestly. Like, you get this...
No, it's not a noob thing, because you unlock this way later in the shrine. Like, this is
like your 3rd shrine, I think. And, you know, a lot of the effective, like, token generators, well, some of them are unlocked later, like Retribution and stuff. And I don't think most new players are gonna understand like battle tempo enough to understand that, like, oh, we're gonna have to wait a turn with Plague Doctor and then remove all these negatives at the end after, like, I use Take Aim or something like that. So
yeah,
I don't think it's quite noob friendly. I mean, Plague Doctor's already noob friendly enough as a character. She's very easy to pilot. So, you know, this is one of her more complex skills. Actually, it's probably her most complex skill outside of like Cause of Death. Yeah. So I really don't.
You have to get into a mindset where you can understand like what tokens are necessary or what tokens are good to destroy early, stuff like that.
Yeah. So. Cause of Death. This one.
I honestly, not gonna lie, I don't really get why it combos a target. What I would do with this is something similar to like what Scourge Flash has, where if the target is comboed, it doesn't remove the dots.
Yeah.
And just remove that it combos the target on mastery, because at that point it's just non-existent.
That would be super powerful though too, I feel like, because when you start doing those shenanigans, especially with the malediction buffs, like you start doing those things where you have crit tokens and take aim, like take aim comet shards for like 50 damage and dot, stuff like that. This could scale monstrously. That said, I honestly wouldn't necessarily mind it having something. Might have to like weaken the damage a bit, but the one change I would consider, because I actually think this move's pretty solid where it's at, would be like on Surgeon, give it like execute 1 at mastery. I don't know. Maybe that's still too strong, because then you just do all that damage and kill him anyway.
Or you can, I guess you could argue that you could also make it just keep it as is, like don't do any on combo, don't remove the dot shenanigans, and just make it execute 3 on combo. So you just kill something immediately when you use it.
I mean, that would work. It'd be really fun. I'd be too good with execute 3, just because it depends on the boss, the team comps and stuff. So maybe it wouldn't be as bad as I'm thinking. And I don't know. Like my fear is people being able to stack like 200 dot on like turn 3 and then just one-shotting a mountain boss. But
it would be pretty fun though, you gotta admit.
Yeah, COD only punishes slow bosses. True. Bosses, if you're not running malediction, bosses that... Sorry, oh wait, I am talking to you too. I'm trying to make sure I'm hitting the right buttons, but yeah. So multi-action bosses do burn through damage over time quicker, so this move gets worse. Like, your execute 3, for example, or even execute 1 would be like really good for general. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Moving on, I guess. Mag Rain, honestly, I wouldn't touch it. A lot of people say do this or that, like give it damage, give it something else. Like, if you added on-hit damage, that it would break the move, because you'd ping all like the blocks and stuff like that. It already gets rid of dodge. I think it's fine.
I would not touch this move at all. Like, what would you do about it? Like, the only thing you could argue is like, even if you made it like 4 burn on upgrade instead of 3, you're already breaching the balance where just this move honestly owns Runaway's entire kit if you think about it.
Yeah.
So yeah. I would not touch this.
Okay. I'm gonna hop into paths, and Jesus Christ, almost 1 hour on Plague Doctor, and a lot of people saying that like mag Rain's underestimated and stuff. It's because you have Plague Grenade. You have other moves. You have so many moves you'd rather press that are stronger, even though Mag Rain is really good. So yeah, that's kind of why it seems underwhelming. It's actually pretty good.
It's very good in the tank due to the low burn res.
Yes, that too. That's a good point. So, as far as paths go, I'll talk about Alchemist first. But like, Alchemist, some ideas are remove the res piercing, obviously. Have like blight moves gain crit versus blighted targets, so it's not like, just free tons of damage and stuff like that. And then another thing for this would be like maybe dots, not dots, blinding gas applies 2 blind on mastery, something like that. I'm not sure, like it needs some other drawback that I haven't figured out, because I don't want paths to be direct upgrades. But
this is the
issue
with the old path system, where even if I wanted to, I can't like change the paths in a way that would make it so that it's in line with the old path system without me like making a lot of different tags and stuff like that. And you know why? I've tried this once, where I wanted to create a new move for like a sharp shot dismiss. Like, just make sharp shot in line with the old path system, or not the old one, the new one. The game breaks because it doesn't understand that I'm trying to replace a previous skill with a new one. That's the issue that I have right now. If I could alter the paths themselves by making it change to specific skills, I would do that. But in order to do that, I would have to use a plugin, and I'm lazy.
No, that's fine. So with that in mind, should I even talk about paths?
That's the thing. Like, I think we already know that like Alchemist is just way overtuned. I don't like it has. You could take the blight causing skills crit and the resistances away. Just keep it minus 20% max HP and just have the rest piercing, and it's still the best path for PD.
True.
Like the last 6 lines of this path are irrelevant because you already have the rest piercing, and that's the only important thing.
Well, I mean that begs the question again. Should I cover paths in this entire discussion, or is it?
I don't know. Do you think should we ask Chad? Do they even care?
I guess. Chad, do you want to see us talk about paths or not? Because in the interest of time, it would shave off a ton of time. But if you guys want the content, then we'll talk about it. Just the weak paths, an idea.
Honestly, we could discuss like the XD paths, such as physician.
Yeah. Has a separate video. That's also another thing.
We could milk that. True. Look, hey, I'm just being honest, okay?
all right. Okay, we'll make paths a separate bit. How about that?
Sure. It will shave off a lot of time. We spend 1 hour talking about PD, so.
Yeah, I don't think. We'll do it, chat. We're just not gonna do it here, just in the interest of time. But yeah, I don't think every character is gonna be as in depth and stuff. It's just Plague Doctor's so overtuned that there's a lot of changes. But like what I have for Grave Robber, they're all minor. Highwayman, honestly, minor stuff until Take Aim. Man at Arms, probably getting a redesign overall. Hellion, a lot of stuff's fine. It's just a couple outliers that are gonna get talked about a lot. Yeah, so with Grave Robber, my favorite character, gonna propose some nerfs and buffs.
Yeah,
but
you should switch to Wanderer.
Oh yeah. Forgot she's got the new system.
If you even can call it that.
Yeah. All right. Kick to the face is actually pretty solid. I just wish that on mastery it just removed all block, something like that.
Does it not do that? I thought it did.
No, it just ignores it.
You should. I'm 90% sure that they made it at one point that it also removes it if it ignores one. Or am I tripping?
Might be tripping.
If it doesn't remove it, then I would just honestly that's what I would do. Yeah. Like just make it remove all block. I don't see why it shouldn't, but like I would make it. If it doesn't, then I would make it remove 1 block on base and then remove all block on mastered.
Yeah, at base it does. It ignores it and then it takes 1 off because that's just like a general mechanics change. But mastery specifically, I would like it if it removed everything.
I thought it removed all. Oh, I'm fucking stupid then. Yeah, in that case, just make it remove all of it. Yeah. I don't see why I shouldn't do that.
Okay.
I would also honestly maybe buff the minimum damage of Pick, simply just to make her damage a bit more consistent without the need for a combo, because she's a very combo hungry character in general.
Yes, and she has no way to apply it outside of like some very extreme methods. Yeah. I mean, with the block ignore and stuff, with Pick, I wouldn't change the damage too much. Maybe make the minimum 5 or 5 or 6, and then like lower the max. I don't know, but I don't want to go in too far past what it's at.
Yeah, like I would just make it like maybe 6 to 10 max.
Yeah. I don't think it'd become better Wicked Slice because Wicked Slice has Execute, and that's a much stronger mechanic in my opinion.
Yeah, Execute is better.
Alright, for Throne Dagger, this one almost doesn't need a change. It's surprisingly solid where it's at, but I wouldn't mind if the damage came up slightly. That might even be too good at that point, but let's say the damage went up to tiers, so it's like 4 to 6, and then like 5 to 8 or something like that.
I wouldn't mind seeing the damage go up, like on base, and actually mastery maybe not. Yeah, I think I would keep mastery like that, but I would increase the thrown dagger minimum damage to like 4 to 5 even, just so it's a little bit more consistent and damaging. And on upgrade, I wouldn't mind seeing it that it also removes guard if it ignores it.
Yeah, that'd
Just
be
remove it entirely.
The issue with this move, or with Grave Robber as a whole character right now, is that she is balanced around the idea that she's going to crit, and all of her damage follows that. So she has like lower numbers across the board because, you know, she's supposed to hit combo targets and crit, which is it's a nice idea. But then you get to Highwayman, who has full damage on like everything and then take aim. So
yeah, it's a very, and also hot take, I think the crit when target combo should just be 100%.
I agree, honestly. I honestly agree. And yes, it assumes crit and that she's also in, or combo, and she's also in stealth. Like that's a lot of setup to, no joke, that's a ton of setup to hit for, what's that going to crit for? Like 11? Like 11 or 10? Just, no. It's so bad.
Like, if you, like, a lot of enemies in this game already have 100% crit chance on combo when the target is comboed. Spiders on Spit have just, actually no, on every attack have I think, actually no, it's just Spit has 100% crit chance on combo. Vilbur with Obliterate Body has 100% crit chance on combo. So why can't the player also have this, honestly?
Yeah, this is just another case where the monsters are like far stronger than players in a lot of cases, and in my opinion makes for a bit of a frustrating experience.
Yeah. Other than that, I think this move, like once you do that, I think this move would actually be pretty solid.
Fair. How do you feel about flashing daggers?
So flashing, unironically, runner for one of the worst moves in the entire game. At least it has something going for it though, which I guess is that it pings off tokens on 2 characters. Plus it pings off blind and such, because although blind hits you harder because cleaves roll their chance only once instead of twice, like it works on dodge. But here's what I would do for it. This might be a bit of a massive hot take, but I think this move, if you hit it, you then get another turn where you can hit only flashing daggers again.
No, that's honestly that's a better way of doing it. But I was gonna go the same direction. Like the only thing I would change to it is make it hit twice. And I think the way you're proposing it is probably more an easier way to code that. So I think we're on the same page for that.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty damn cool if you ask me.
It would be. I mean, you'd effectively double its damage or whatever, but like, I mean, maybe, I don't want to say lower the damage if it hits twice, because like the first hit eats your tokens, the second one doesn't, stuff like that. So it runs into its own issues, but it would really emphasize like the flavor of the move. Like she's just really good at throwing accurate knives very quickly. So being able to throw 4 in succession, I think would just be very thematic.
Also, somebody in chat says, wouldn't it be kind of strong with dot trinkets? It's a roguelite, to be fair. You have to understand, in a roguelite, sometimes what you find ends up making the character that you're using just busted. And if we want to be on the same page, which I don't know who said it, but saying that some moves need to be OP, then I think it's completely fine. What about Venom Drop? Again, like, why shouldn't it? Why should it change? You can, I guess you could lower the on-hit damage from Venom Drop if you want to go that route. But like, I see no reason why this character shouldn't have something that is cool, but at the same time pretty powerful. Because if you were to make this hit twice, like there's no guarantee that it sticks. You can, if you want, you could also make it with Venom Drop. You could make it hit once, which applies the dot, and then the second one would not apply the dot if you want to go that route as well. Like I see, again, like why shouldn't there be something like that just breaks it? You know, I think it would be cool.
it's a good point, and I understand. And Fenta still agrees, which is awesome. We love agreeing, echo chamber, etc. I'm kidding, but in terms of like certain balance things, like Ranger hit the point. You know, it's like the game. If the game wants to market itself as a roguelite, it has to understand that certain combinations, which are not always guaranteed, will break the game, and that it should be okay with that. You know, like if I find Cruel Intent and I have consistent combo gen, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to just crush stuff with Leper going forward. You know, there are always going to be obscure combinations that will make you super powerful, and that's what makes runs memorable. You know, be like, I remember that one time, like that. You know, I got this trinket on this character, and one of the ones that stands out to me is back before the stealth nerfs. I got, I think, old covert cloak, which was like 66% chance of stealth or something like that, or like 40, I can't remember. But I got that on runaway, and then I soloed the Act 2 boss essentially with her because she couldn't get hit. That got nerfed, but like that was cool. That stands out to me, you know, forever. I will remember that run for as long as I remember DD2.
Yeah.
All right. Poison darts.
It's like 15 minutes about a move that hits 2 targets with no effect.
Yeah, that's all right though. You ever get you don't
So,
find yourself
poison
100%
darts.
chance? True. Right.
Poison darts. That's okay. So I actually think that this move on its own is fine. I would again just make it 100% crit on combo in just universal. But I would also honestly, like, I don't know why this scales very strangely. Like, it goes from 2 dot to 4 dot instead of like what other moves do, which is like 3 dot and then 4 dot. I would honestly just make it 3 dot on base, honestly. Like, I don't think it would be that strong.
I don't think it would either.
You're hitting only one person with 5% crit at base with no combos. So I don't think it would be like broken or anything. I would just up the dot to 3.
Yeah, I agree, especially because, 3 base dot puts it honestly in line with Firefly, which is a good move, but not a broken move by any aspect. Just you get a little more flexibility on targeting, and that's a nice strength for it. But you have like you were saying, a surprisingly low amount of crit for the character that's supposed to be the crit character, as we can see here on the descriptor, high crit. By the way, 5%.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. You know what's hilarious? Highwayman has Wicked Slice 20% crit on upgrade. That's the funniest aspect of this whole thing.
God. I don't see crit in his tags. Anyway. Plus,
anyways.
Yeah, I think that's about what I had. It was either lower the blight on the top end, like the mastery, to 3, or buff it. And I think the issue that sticks out to me too, we're not talking about paths, but like Poison Dart will, with Deadeye, like Deadeye is supposed to be I throw knives and stuff like that. Poison Dart is actually better than Thrown Dagger on Deadeye, just because Thrown Dagger's bad. So if we can buff that and change some stuff, then that'd be cool.
One thing that I should
Dart's
also mention: the reason certain paths are much better than everything else is a lot of people don't know how damage rounds in this game. Because in DD1, the damage rounded down against you and it rounded up against the enemies, if I recall correctly. Healing always rounded up. But on the other hand, in this game, if the decimal point of a move or damage, HP, whatever, ends in a number from 0.1 to 0.4, it will always round down. And if it's 0.5 to 0.9, it will always round up. It's universal rounding. And that also causes a lot of issues, because, for example, if you have the healing threshold on Grace, for example, which is 25%, the 25% HP of your character might round down, and you have to go one HP level below that threshold. So it works actively against and for you, because certain high damage moves round up better because of this. So that's something that needs to be kept in mind with why Poison Dart becomes better than Thrown Dagger when you put on Deadeye.
There you go. Great point. All right. Absinthe, honestly, fine. Wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, I agree. I would not touch this. This is perfectly ideal.
Yeah. Now, Dead of Night, I actually might advocate for a nerf, and that would be to lower the healing amount to 33, like at both levels, because upgrading this and getting minus stress and 2 stealth is really good. Like, do you need to heal half your HP for that? I don't think so.
I agree. I think 30. I think I will make it. Honestly, I will even make it 25 base and 33 on upgrade.
Okay. Hacker with a good point too. It shouldn't heal, instead give you loot. That'd be really fun. Honestly, hit a corpse, get some relics.
Yeah.
Yeah, just take off the healing. I'm okay with like the stealth and the stress healing, but getting loot, that would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah, like I would honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That would be super fun.
Yeah. Let's see.
Just
Glint.
find a random cultist trinket on a zombie.
Yep. So for Glints, this move is actually really good now. So like, especially with Deadeye, the only thing I would change with it is it's labeled as a range move, but it hits like a melee. So I'd rather it either be classified as melee or make it usable from 4 to hit 4 instead of 1 for like each thing. You know, like if she can go into rank 4 and Glint rank 4 but not 1, you know, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I would honestly switch the ranks, like the ranks that you can throw and that you can hit. Like, it's very similar to like Headshot in the Collector fight, where Dismas can shoot you from 2 to 3 and can hit 1 through 4, which is very funny.
Yep.
So I would just switch the rank on this.
Is the execute
Other
for
than
Death
that-
Door shields? Yes.
Other than that, I think this move is perfectly fine as it is now. It actually became stronger with the Death Armor.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. Execute moves are very strong at this current state. So, I mean, if she could generate combo or crit on her own, this would be insane. Like being able to execute 3 in stealth and hit for like 12 plus, be very, very strong. So,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty close to good. Lunge, I'm a huge lunge lover, lunge advocate. I think it's fine right now.
When I was testing out the moves, I was playing. I tried both Wanderer and Nightsworn Lunge. Nightsworn is obviously a lot better, but I honestly think that this is completely fine. Like just ignoring the dodge on when you're stealthed, and then ignoring block and dodge when you're stealthed. It allows you a lot of. It allows a lot of interactivity because a lot of enemies generate these tokens. Especially if you take into consideration foot soldiers into tangle. Like if you have a mash with 3 foot soldiers and a drummer that just keeps spamming defensive formation and gives everybody block plus, this move becomes extremely good.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would also give Lunge the 100% crit on combo.
You could. Definitely could. Yeah, people are saying that it doesn't have the combo effect, but like it's got very high base crit. 30's a lot.
Yeah, like 30, like a lot of the times when I've hit it, I've just hit the crit naturally even without anything else. Like honestly giving it the 100% crit on combo could actually be pretty, maybe a bit too strong, because then, you know, with 11 you're hitting, like, you're critting for like what, like 16 at that point?
I think so, yeah. So
it's
go ahead.
like I wouldn't make it D-stealth Grave Arbor. I disagree. No, like I think, like, okay, think about this. You lunge into rank 1, you're now D-stealthed, so you just get crit by a trophic cut to Death's Door and die. Like,
I don't know
like,
if that necessarily would consistently happen.
I'm
but
just trying to like argue, you know, with like extremes here, but that is a possibility.
Yeah.
And plus, to be fair, like, why should it de-stealth? Like, you're hitting, if you have 2 stealth tokens and you're hitting something, And then you can, if you're running Nightsworn, you can then pick to the face something for the extra damage because you're still stealthed. Or, even better, something that I discovered is if you encore Grave Robber while she's in stealth, she still gets the damage buff, but she doesn't lose the stealth after her encore turn. So you can technically get 3 turns of stealth reliably with that.
Yeah,
And again, I think that's really cool.
It is. As far as stuff with stealth, also someone mentioned, bonus crit and stealth. I think if we gave every hero a passive, like this isn't something I got to because I didn't have one written for PD, but for Grave Robber, if she got a passive, it would be something like plus 25% damage and stealth. Like just move the Nightsworn thing to her, as like a base thing. And so that makes stealth a bit more desirable than it currently is. Like it's worth the setup in some cases, but like I don't want to attach it specifically to the Shadow Fade because Shadow Fade does need some help, but like if she had that new passive where she just gets bonus damage and stealth, Shadow Fade would kind of be fixed in the process, in my opinion.
Yeah. Vexia, you can see the passives if you go to the character page and then conditions. You have the passives written there.
Yeah. And also, chance to start combat or turn in stealth. Yeah, I like that. That's fine.
That's something
Wander
that I
passive
did
or all
on
pass,
my-
all pass.
Like on my very, very old GR rework, like early access rework, I just made her start combat and stealth.
There you go. All right.
She,
I'm gonna try and
GR's best aspect is that she has massive survivability. I am gonna have to disagree with that one a little bit, honestly.
Stop
Yeah,
getting
you
one
can
guy.
argue.
stop
like, you
getting
can-
one
you can
guy by
argue.
chat, man. Stop. You don't have to argue with all of it.
All right, okay, we're moving on. Pirouette,
Okay.
cool skill.
Yeah, the only thing I do with Pyro is just remove the self days. But
Honestly, yeah, like the days is way too punishing. I get it. It's a pirouette, so you get dizzy because you spin. But why? Like, it doesn't do too much. It has a 2-turn cooldown. You get 1 token for it for your troubles.
yeah, the other thing
Like,
too is
it doesn't need the days at all. Like it's honestly just a spin in the face.
it is, and it's really weird because she's supposed to be a high-speed character, and then like you kind of take that away from her. But then also, like I know the thematic argument's always a weird one to bring up, but like she's supposed to be very agile and very dexterous. That's her. So like she would be used to spinning around. She's very used to jumping between spots on the battlefield and stuff and throwing precision moves. Like why does she need to date? Like why does she get dodge and then daze? Like it's so weird because just when I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I did this really cool move and it gave me dodge, but also I'm so dizzy I can't stand straight. Like, it's just weird to me.
Honestly, if anything, it would be. It's actually pretty funny. You'd think it would. These two, like pirouette and absinthe, the days and speed should switch. Like you would think
Yes.
that would be a bit more thematic in that sense,
Yes.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But honestly, like sometimes you just have to. Here's the thing. Sometimes you have to get rid of. Yeah, this is thematic. You have to just get rid of that mindset sometimes and think, is this fun for the player?
Yes.
Because if it's not fun for the player, it doesn't matter if it's the most perfectly thematic thing imaginable. The player will not want to use it.
This is something that
It's very
happens...
similar to FF.
Yeah. This is something that happens in like the tabletop RPG space. It's called the rule of cool. It's like sometimes you just throw logic or mechanics out the window if it's cool and fun to do.
Yeah. And then you spawn in a thing from the stars and call it a day.
I hope I never see that thing in this game, honestly. So with repartee, it's actually a pretty good move on its own. The only thing I would change is just remove the stealth requirement, because it takes so long to get this move going. And
if we're removing the requirement, then I would probably give it like, honestly, even maybe a 3-turn cooldown.
Yeah, that's
just so you
fine.
can like,
That's
spam
fine.
it.
Yeah, definitely don't make it like the stealth is supposed to be the soft cooldown. You know, it's like, oh, if I have to set up my stealth move every turn to use this, but like, yeah, if it lost the trigger, then sure, of course, it should get like a 1 or 2 turn cooldown for sure.
Yeah.
Taunt's OP. We'll talk about taunt a little bit, but yeah, after we get to Shadow Fade, I am gonna take a couple minute break, start stretching and stuff. So Shadow Fade, if she gets like a passive where she does bonus damage in stealth, then I think that fixes Shadow Fade like by proxy.
It kind of does, honestly, because but they kept trying to change Shadow Fade to be better, but the speed at base, or no, sorry, the speed on mastery when it was still 1 stealth was extremely like anti-synergy with yourself, because you use a turn to stealth yourself, then you lunged, for example. Now you're out of stealth and you're just vulnerable to every single attack, every dot, everything. Because of the speed token, you went first. It was extremely anti-synergy. What it really should have been was strength instead of speed. But if you give her the passive that she has the 25% damage in stealth, then this fixes that, because it's basically just a strength minus essentially.
It would be, and then that is a good point though with the speed token. So like if that ended up happening, you know, we'd have to figure out a different kind of upgrade. So, I mean, giving it some other bonus token, like dodge, I don't know, something like that. But, yeah, DD1 Shadow Fade was about, it was supposed to be, you switch, like you essentially switch all your damage to the turn after. But this game, it isn't quite that way in that. Someone's saying Shadow Fade should give a mobilized token so you can't hit it twice in a row. If the player wants to put in the work to make a multiple lunge team, I think they should be able to do that, personally.
Yeah, mainly because setting up double lunge, you have to put a dancer into the middle, 2 dancers essentially, if you count Grave Robber as 1. So you're making your middle line, which is ranks that a lot of enemies can hit very efficiently and very hard. You're risking them being just squishy squishy middle line that gets hit by everything. So I see no reason why you shouldn't be able to do it.
All right, so how do we buff this? Because I didn't consider it needing a buff if we, you know, if we remove the speed token. So like, what would the mastery version be of this at that point?
That's a good question. If the passive, I'll take it out on a vacuum. If the passive didn't exist and it was just as it is, then I wouldn't mind seeing base give strength, and then on mastery it would be strength with a chance for a crit token.
Okay.
Something similar to what Ballad has on upgrade. Not to mention that Ballad is a terrible move on its own, but I think that would be good. Like, don't make it too high. Don't make it like 75% chance of a crit token. Like this is Sprawl Trinkets or something. Just make it
like 15, 20, maybe 25 at the very
20, 25 max maybe.
All right. We're going to get on to Highwayman, everyone's favorites. But before then, like I said, I'm going to take a quick break. So thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, Ranger, as always, for spending some time with us. And I'm going to smother you with ads. All right, be right back.